Right then, ladies and gentlemen, the Lotus Esprit. Now, I've been trying to get down and do a video on this for the last few days, and typically, in Mathewsons fashion, the minute you turn your back, any space that you maybe did have rapidly vanishes. So you'll have to bear with me. Unfortunately, we'll have to make do where the car is currently situated. So I'll give you a little bit of background. We were asked to rehome about 15 cars, I think, from a collector down country. That's part of a year ago now, I would think. And so we went down with the camera crew and done some filming and looked around the cars. There was 3 Lotus cars in the collection. Now this one was hid right at the very back of the building, and it was the last one we looked at. And I walked up to it. It was covered in dust. It had a thick layer of dust all over it in the back of this agricultural building. And I sort of stood there and looked at it and thought, that looks straight, even under the dust. And then I done this. I opened the bonnet, or the front end, call it what you want, and it looked pretty much like that, although with a very thin layer of dust on. And then I opened up the inside, and it looked pretty much like that, pretty much. And I pulled the lever and opened up the back end, and again, it looked pretty much like it does here today. And I turned to Patrick and said, whatever you do to that car, do it very carefully. I said, because that car does not want a full restoration. That car wants a very, very careful, light restoration, more of a recommission than anything else. And he said, do you want me to leave it as it is? I said, yes, please. Leave it just as it is, covered in dust. So he did. And then the car made its way up to us. And it was actually, I think probably my enthusiasm shone through. And it was actually purchased by the Bangers and Cash team to be part of the new show that's coming out imminently with regards to restoration. And so they did. They bought it, paid up. And then they found a team down country, the Southwest Lotus Centre in actual fact. So they found a team down there, Phil and James and crew. And initially, I must admit, I was like, oh, hang on a minute. I said, in actual fact, I said to the main guy, I said, if I had a bit more time, I would do that, because what an enjoyable project that would be. And it wants to be done very carefully. And you know what? The lads down there, take my hat off to them. They've done exactly what they should have done, in my opinion. And that is a very, very careful, very sensible recommission of the car. And consequently, today, it looks fantastic. And it drives fantastic. We've done lots of filming with the car. We've been out driving, cameras, you name it. So we put a fair bit of effort into it thus far. So it would be fair to say that we would very much like to continue on the story with whoever becomes the new custodian of the car. Now, I've got a few notes in front of me now about what the guys have actually done down there. So, some new carpets, which obviously must have wanted, but I didn't actually pick up on that back in the earlier days. Retrimmed some headlining, fair dues. The windscreen, yeah, that was cracked. Now the engine's been overhauled. Brakes and suspension and so forth, they've been sorted out and replaced wherever necessary, including new bushes on suspension and bits and pieces like that. Obviously new head gasket when the head came off. The carbs have all been stripped and sorted. So they've carefully recommissioned the car. They've refurbished the wheels. There's been a fresh set of tyres put on. It's all serviced up. It's ready to go. There's a fair few notes, hopefully. I haven't looked yet, but they should be on the website there, listing what's been done. And it is quite an unusual car, as it turns out. It's one of 7 cars that was with a trim combination as we've got. Originally supplied to a firm called Bell and Coville in Sussex. And there was some mention of the extra body kit parts. I can't remember the story that went with those, but I'm pretty sure they were a factory option at the time. But the guys down at Southwest Lotus Centre, I'm sure, wouldn't mind answering any queries. Obviously, they've spent a lot more time. They've got a lot more involved with the car than I did, or have but it certainly would have been a lovely project to undertake. I'd have liked to have done it if I'd have had a bit more time. But there's not a lot of point in me really going round and round with the video. You've seen all the photographs. You've seen what it is. Fortunately, since it's well blocked in, we've done, like I say, a fair bit of driving with it and so forth. And yeah, basically, it's ready to go and enjoy. The nice thing about it is so much of the car remains original, which in my eyes is the most important thing. Restored cars have a place, of course they do, but nicely presented, gently restored, recommissioned cars, they should always win, shouldn't they? They should always win over and above, and they do. And I think if you spend a fair bit of time around the classic movement and you have the opportunity to drive all sorts of things, they're always the ones that drive as they should, as the manufacturer intended. So I'll sign off. Hopefully that's given you a bit of background. It is lovely. They've done a fantastic job. I think it's the best one, in my opinion, that's going to go through that new program. I think it's going to be a real interesting program to watch, and I can't wait, in actual fact, for that new series to come out, because unlike our program, and I never seem to get a chance to watch it, I'm going to make time to watch this new one, because obviously with our program, I know a lot about what's going on anyway, so it's only really a repeat. Whereas with this new series, with the involvement of all sorts of different restorers and enthusiasts and so forth, I think it's going to make interesting viewing. But that's besides the point. The fact of the matter is, we've got ourselves a very, very nice Lotus that's coming up for sale. We're cutting it a bit of fine. It's more deadlines with regard to TV, because if this Lotus had been brought to me just really just a handful of days before a sale, I would have said, park it in that corner, we'll do it next month. But anyhow, it's your chance to have a go and see what you think. You will not be disappointed. It's a lovely car with a lovely story and a lovely background. If you get the opportunity, I know it's only a small window to come and have a look, please do, or give me a tinkle through and I'll try my best. All the guys down at Southwest Lotus there, I'm sure they would be as helpful as ever. So that's the Lotus.